I was already running $1 million business. I was playing dueling pianos multiple times a week. I had a wife, kids at home, and I had more than enough going on. I did not need another hobby. But I promised myself that I would always let myself chase the butterflies. And 4 years later, this is what chasing the butterflies looked like, and here are the lessons that it taught me. So I call this chasing butterflies. When there's something that's just kind of gnawing at you, something that you want to pick up, maybe get good at, maybe it's a hobby, maybe it is a passion that you want to research, who knows? But chasing butterflies is where you kind of just give yourself the permission to go run after that butterfly and see where it leads. It could lead to you gaining a new skill. It could lead to you gaining a new appreciation for other people, or it could teach you a lot of lessons about life. And in this case, for this video, me obsessing over mechanical keyboards taught me a handful of things about life and a handful of things about myself that I'm very grateful for. So let's get into it. During this video, I'm going to be taking apart this, it's called a QK100. It's a really, really cool keyboard by QWERTY Keys. I love this thing, and I love the color of it. Honestly, I can't find anything else similar that has this colorway, and because of that, I really want this to work for me, but my biggest problem is right here. Hear that little tick? That bugs the crap out of me. And this spacebar is just meaty. So I'm gonna try to fix that by the end of this video. I might not fix it, but I will teach you a little bit about what mechanical keyboards have taught me. The very first thing that I learned was just giving myself permission to let my brain breathe. I've got ADHD. And when I first discovered mechanical keyboards was when I was kind of first exploring the fact that I had ADHD. I discovered it when I was in my 30s. You know, most people, you figure something like that out when you're younger, and I didn't. And when I took Adderall for the very first time, I was like, this is how the rest of you live full time? I was pissed because it was like somebody put noise canceling headphones on me in my brain for the very first time. However, for most of my life, I treated the symptoms of ADHD in the same way that you would treat a problem. Like I was trying to push them away, or I was trying to get better, you know, in a way that like circumvented my ADHD-ness. Whether it's wake up earlier, drink more coffee, be more disciplined, just do the thing that you said that you'll do, and white knuckle my way through tasks, which ultimately was not healthy. And I think I could be significantly further along in life if I hadn't done it like that. The keyboard thing started because I figured out at one point, almost by accident, that if I stimulated my brain with those tickety taps, it made me want to do the administrative jobs, like answering emails or the crap that was just annoying. It made me want to do those things. And discovering that keyboards that sound good were a thing, I was like, I need something like that so it can motivate me to want to answer emails. And sure enough, when I got my very first keyboard, it definitely did. I was excited to type because I just wanted to hear the sounds of what I was making. And I remember kind of feeling like guilty at first, where I was like, am I really going to spend money on a mechanical keyboard when I've got a keyboard that's just fine on my laptop? You know, can't I just make myself work like a normal person? But somewhere in there, I just stopped fighting it, and I let it be true that I have this dopamine deficiency. I need to create other ways that I can fire those receptors for myself. And if a better typing experience meant that I could be more focused on work and more focused on our clients, then the keyboard wasn't a distraction. It was a necessity in order to get work done. So that was the first thing, is I was just giving myself permission to be who I am and to not try to be somebody different just because everybody says you should focus like this. So a lot of people won't do this. They will spend years and years trying to work on themselves and fix their deficiencies, when really they should learn how to work with who they are rather than trying to just fix things that people say or culture says is wrong with you. Because from an ADHD standpoint, it was just very misunderstood for years. And even now, people are like, I don't need medication. I'm like, I don't know, maybe you don't, but I did, and I didn't get it. And there's a world where I would have a very different life if I had done it. By the way, I'm taking off the keycaps of the keyboard. And these are the keycaps. The keycaps are separate from what are called the switches, which I'm going to also take off as well. The switches are what actually fire the actual thing. And the combination of the switches with the actual keyboard itself create the sound. Okay. So, if you're watching this and you feel like, you know what, my inefficiencies to the world are actually probably more like strengths, then you should lean into that and chase that butterfly. Because you know what, people might not understand, but I love my life and I wouldn't trade it for anything. And if I just kept doing what people told me to do, I would hate it. First time in San Juan, mijo. Come on. That San Juan song is one that it's stuck in my head because everyone's saying it's stuck in their heads, but not because it's actually stuck in my head. It's because I just keep seeing TikToks of people saying this. Honestly, very pleasantly surprised here at how little dog hair is in this thing. I was expecting it to be a train wreck. I shudder to think of what's in this Zoom 98 because this QK100 that I'm taking apart, I don't use that often. I use it if I am traveling for a long trip because I have a nice case for it. And then I use it when I'm feeling like it. But the main reason I don't use it is because of this specific, the stabilizers. It's because of the stabilizers. The stabs are like, they're too chunky. They hit too hard. Maybe it's this that it's bumping against. It's very chunky when it lands. Maybe I need to soften the hit there. Boom. Okay. Wonder if I can get those stabs out. No, I need to take the whole thing apart. Okay. All the way. Full send. Very underserved colorway. The teal. Teal is my favorite color, if you can't tell from my brand and everything about me. I love teal, but hard to find products that are in a good, rich teal. Nice. Hear that little slicking sound though? It's probably I don't know if I lubed these switches. The keycaps are GMKs. It's called Birch, the set. I got them off of Canon Keys for, I think, $30 on a sale because typically those GMK sets are very expensive. They're usually like $130. So I think Birch was probably just old, or I don't know, maybe people didn't buy it, but I got it for $30. And I'll tell you, I've gotten plenty of Cherry Profile keycaps in the past. Profile is it's better to show you. Profile is the slope and the form factor of the keys. That's a crude way of saying it, but more or less it's the slope. Sometimes you've got keyboards that have an extreme slope like this. This is the KSA Profile by Keychron. Or you have this, which is just a straight up flat profile that Low-Free does. Or you have Cherry. Here we go. Cherry, which is the standard, the traditional one. Anybody watching, likely Cherry Profile, because that is the vast majority of keycaps are Cherry Profile. And I don't really like Cherry Profile, if I'm honest. I like MT3, which is this, and it's this. MT3 is nice because, look at that, the scoop is so good. Just scoops. It's nice because there's like a little scoop and it cups your fingers inside of it. So I really like MT3. But unfortunately, they don't really make MT3 keycaps. I don't see a lot of new MT3s getting made. There's a special designer that makes them. But anyway, I love a good curved, like an SA, like the KSA Profile, or MT3 specifically. What are these? Maybe I was just testing switches. That's interesting. The heck? Glacials? Ice Kings? Come on, buddy. Get off there. You're a real nerd about this too when you are particular about your keycap puller and your switch puller, because I have multiple keycap pullers from other companies, but I always come back to this little silver guy that I found on like Amazon because it's so like nice and wobbly, so it's easy to get it around the keycap, when something is kind of stuck. And take off the Artisan keycap. Got a little Raikou Pokemon Artisan keycap here. I'll leave that up here. Maybe right here so it's in the shot. All right, keycaps are off. Now I'm gonna get the switches off and then I'm gonna dig into the board while I tell you more about the lessons that I've learned. So, lesson two. Lesson two was the permission to obsess. My whole life, Mom, if you're watching, I'm sorry. But my whole life I was always just told that being obsessive is a negative thing. Because I was probably to my mom's detriment, very obsessive over things. I could not get things out of my mind. If I liked it, I really liked it. And my parents aren't very obsessive people. And my family they're not super obsessive people either. And it was kind of a negative thing growing up, being obsessive. And the moment I started giving myself permission to obsess over things, my career took off like a rocket. It was awesome. When I started giving myself permission to obsess over things, my career took off. And whether that was me obsessing over marketing, me obsessing over performance, me obsessing over dueling pianos for a while, me obsessing over mechanical keyboards, I just kind of gave myself permission to just go all in on whatever the obsession was. I still am obsessed, I would say, but obsessed with watches. I like luxury watches, but like this, for example, is a Mon watch that I got a couple of days ago. I got it yesterday in the mail. It's not a crazy expensive watch, but I just love it. I think it is so pretty, and I think it just looks like, look, even to the camera right now, it looks like it's illuminated, but it's not. It's just because of how it reflects light. It's so sick. I love that thing. So I give myself permission to obsess over things because honestly, I think the most successful people in history were just like that. They were obsessive over whatever the thing was that they were going for. And I think that my obsession is what allows our clients to get great results. I think my obsession is what allows my relationships to be more rich because I get obsessed with my friends. Once I gave myself that green light, I would just go deep on whatever the thing is. So when it came specifically to keyboards, I started studying every single facet. So the very first thing that you have to figure out when you're building a mechanical keyboard for yourself is going to be switch preference. So your switch preference, there are 3 types. Technically, there's a 4th that I'm going to tell you about. There's a 5th, actually, that I'm going to tell you about. Technically, maybe there's 5. There's 3 main types. There's clicky, which is the classic gamer, clicky, whatever switch. There is tactile that gives you a little resistance bump when you are typing. And then there's linear that's perfectly smooth top to bottom. A lot of gamers use linear. Linear, in my opinion, is very difficult mentally to type on. And then the final switch would maybe be a silent switch, but you can have a linear silent switch or even a tactile silent switch. So I don't know if that would fully qualify as a switch type. And then the secret one is this one. This is what's called a light tactile, where it is it's Wuche Studios makes it. And I think I'm the only person on planet Earth who buys them, but I'm in love with them. I lube them. I will take them apart and put lubricant on them to make them even smoother. And it's a perfect mix between a tactile switch, which has a really noticeable resistance and it feels more like a typewriter, versus a linear, which is overly smooth. It's like a perfect balance between smooth. You want to know what your preference is on switch first before you build a mechanical keyboard. Because you're going to rebuild it afterwards if you don't, because you're seeing here, this is the lowest layer, so you want to make sure that your switch is nice and the sound that you want. So I love Wuche Studios because Wuche Studios makes what's called the Marandi switch, which actually I have a Marandi switch in here because I think I was trying to make my spacebar more muted. Marandi switch, which Marandis are awesome. My only gripe with these light tactiles by Wuche Studios is that there's really very little RGB that gets through. So the color just looks much more muted. And this the Marandi switches has this nice diffuser on it. The light looks so good, but these are linear and I cannot type on these Marandis to save my life. So first thing you got to figure out is your switches. Then you got to figure out your keycap profile. What's the most comfortable keycap profile that you like to type on? You can explore that. Those are a little cheaper. Go on Amazon and order a cherry profile, order a KSA, or not KSA, sorry, an SA profile. That way you can test to see what you like and what you don't like. And then order a couple of different switches as well. You can go on an amazing website called Milktooth, and I think they literally have switch, a variety pack, if you want to buy a bunch of different switches to test them out so you can see what sound you like and what feel you like. I would recommend doing that in the beginning. So buy a beater keyboard off of Amazon that is what's called hot swappable. Hot swappable, meaning that there's a hot switch that you can switch your switches out with, because if it's soldered, you can't switch it. unfortunately. So if you are building your own keyboard, I know this video is so interesting because we're kind of talking a little bit about about business, but we're also talking about the fundamentals of mechanical keyboards. So all of that to say, giving yourself the permission to obsess allows you to become a class expert in whatever that thing is, a category expert in whatever that subject is. And in my case here, it's mechanical keyboards, but the exercise of allowing myself to become obsessive allowed myself to be obsessive in other areas. So whether that's obsessing over marketing or AI, or when I got the opportunity to become a dueling piano player, I obsessed there, and became professional level rather than just a hobbyist. And that's kind of the lesson. Real depth in anything comes from giving yourself permission to obsess. You becoming a categorical expert in whatever your field is, you have to give yourself permission to be obsessive over that thing. And if you're a parent, let your kids obsess over whatever those things are. If they're obsessed with something, let them dive all in on that thing, because the collection of little butterflies that you obsess over turns into your unfair advantage down the road. So I've got this interesting spread of things that I love, like I'm a dueling piano player / musician, but I'm also a marketer and a kind of a business brain, as well as a dad, as well as maybe a Disney enthusiast, or maybe I'm not I'm not like a Disney adult, but I do like Disney. But when you allow yourself to obsess, you become unique and you can attract people. But if you keep yourself neutral for forever because you're just afraid of what people think of you, then you'll always be middle of the road. So the third thing that I learned in obsessing over mechanical keyboards, I definitely did not see coming. Sorry, let's screen these. I definitely did not see this coming. And it was that as I, every time I do, it's so loud. I'll just do a little ASMR for you. And there we go. So the thing that I didn't expect coming was that my palette for what the sound profile of a keyboard was, my palette for what's good and what's bad for mechanical keyboards got really refined. And allowing myself to obsess allowed me to become essentially a true fanatic, where the second that somebody types on a keyboard, I can tell you exactly what's wrong with it and why you don't like it. If you're like, oh, I don't like the sound, I can tell you exactly why. It's because of the stabilizers, or it's because of XYZ. We can identify it together. But I've just taken so much time to get good at it for myself. And that's one thing for obsessing in general. There's 2, 3, come on, there we go. Put the plate off. And now we've got base plate off, and we've got foam underneath. Here is what I was trying to get at, is this stab here. Maybe honestly, a little bit of this foam would work. I could just lube the crap out of it. Let me see. This is not the advisable way to do it, but it's also not terrible. Just shove a bunch of lube in there. So much. It's gonna dampen that hit. Okay, that might actually work. It's still hitting hard though. Let me see. With the stab, this works. If it doesn't, maybe I'm just doomed. The ticking's gone. Okay, we'll live with that. No tick I can live with for now. So the gift that you kind of get after you allow yourself to obsess is not necessarily like, oh, you get to be called an expert, but you get the gift of expert perception, where you can just tell in a nanosecond what is right and what is wrong with that specific thing that you have chosen to obsess over. And I just think you should give yourself permission to obsess over those little things and chase those butterflies, because when you do, you become such a more interesting, well-rounded person. When people found out I was a dueling piano player, that was like the thing that they would book me at conferences for. Is they said, oh, you do dueling pianos. Let's have you do dueling pianos. It was everything was about the fact that I did dueling pianos. I was also a subject matter expert in marketing, but the dueling pianos was kind of my competitive edge that made me interesting to these shows, that they wanted me, they wanted me on the stage. All right, this is a very fine-tuned thing that I'm doing right now. This ribbon goes into the screen and it shows a GIF of a duck when you type. There we go. Got him. Stay. Dang it. This is probably the most tedious part of the job. So right now, my obsession is YouTube. There we go. That's my problem. Is there an easier way to do this and I'm just missing it? Maybe like that? No, I can't, because it's gotta be like that. It's just so dang hard. First time in San Juan. Hee-hee-ho. That looks like it worked. I should probably turn it on. Just plug it in. Okay, do I need like a switch input? Oh. Did I unplug something down here? I don't think I did. That's plugged in, that's plugged in, they're all plugged in. What are we doing? Maybe I just didn't plug the... Okay, let's try again. Okay. Try it again. This is actually probably the move. There we go. Okay, let's see if that works. Ah, there we go. There's that freaking duck. Woo, close call. Let's put this back together, huh? Okay, screws in first. Crazy, we're missing it. There we go. People want the recognition without actually having the perception. And you can immediately tell a true expert apart from a phony in one conversation, because the phony is genuinely out to help you with whatever the thing is. And the problem is they want the expertise. They want to be seen as the expert without actually obsessing and becoming the expert. That's why you have all these fake gurus that really, when you get them on a stage, they don't know what they're talking about. There's a handful of people in my industry, specifically in the medical aesthetics industry, that are marketers that I'm obsessed with. I think they're awesome. They always lean back towards fundamentals, because that's my biggest obsession, is making sure that clinic owners have the fundamentals of how to succeed, and not, and not constantly going after some trend or some subsect of marketing that really is not going to benefit the actual clinic owner. I want them to win, First time in San Juan, I thought I had the screw right here, and then I pushed it into the conglomerate of keycaps. I mean, it's one screw missing. I guess I can find after. Let's see. Goal was to get this to be softer. Did it work? Tick is gone? Okay, there we go. Tick is gone. And that's a little softer. It's not as soft as I'd like, but that's okay. That is okay. Okay, so I'm just gonna start putting these back in. So ultimately, I think the biggest feedback I can give you about this is that people will want the recognition without the obsession. They'll want to be seen as some content expert without actually putting in the sweat of obsessing over something for 16 hours a day and not knowing why. And when you come out the other side, you get to be the knowledge source on that thing. And I don't know, I just think, it's not something that you earn, you accumulate it. Just by being in an industry for 20 years, it doesn't make you a content expert or a subject matter expert. I think obsession and accumulation of something makes you that expert. All right, let's get the rest of these on here now. Yeah, there you go. This is where it also gets odd, because you're guessing at letters sometimes. There should be a contest for this. I would lose. Yeah, I thought those looked weird. It's always scary getting to the end, because you're like, wait, I don't see all the pieces. But usually they're just floating around like this. Just gotta be patient. First time in San Juan, me-e-ho. All right, let's hear how she sounds. No more tick, no more tick. Oh yeah. So I think the weird thing about all of this is that giving myself permission to get obsessive over things, I didn't realize how good at the things I would get. And not just like keyboards, but also dueling pianos and owning a business, being a leader, being a public speaker, doing YouTube. I'm definitely not that good at YouTube yet. Clearly, by anybody watching this, I'm not that refined. But I would challenge you that if something is gnawing at you, to go chase that butterfly, something that you just want to obsess over, but you think it's wrong to obsess over it, or you think, oh, I just need to be focused. And maybe you do, but I think you should give your brain permission to go chase that butterfly for a little bit. Figure out a way to do it in conjunction with what you're already doing, because that all builds you into you. And somebody in your life has probably told you whatever you're doing is a waste of time, or whatever, or that you're too obsessive, or you're too much. And I'm here to tell you to go chase it. Go chase it and get it. Send this video to somebody who needs to get obsessed. Bye.